Hello, I'm Cass McGann, President and founder of Reconstructing History. I want to thank you personally for purchasing a Reconstructing History downloadable pattern. This short film will show you how to assemble your pattern sheets after you've printed them. Follow the steps in this video and you'll be using your new pattern in no time. Thanks again and enjoy.
Step 1. Assemble your tools. Reconstructing History downloadable patterns can be assembled with a minimum of tools and fuss. You'll need Scotch tape and a dispenser, a fine tip marker, a ruler, scissors, and a flat surface to work on. To begin, locate the marks in the corners of your printed sheets. These marks tell you how to line the sheets up and make a full-size pattern. Using your marker, trace over each mark. A red marker works particularly well for this. You'll see these marks on 3 corners of most sheets. Be careful to trace over each mark. Be sure to trace heavily enough that you see each mark. If the marks don't appear on your sheets, don't worry. You can line up the pattern lines instead. Make certain you keep the sheets in order. If they get mixed up, you may become confused and therefore cranky. Notice how Cass is drawing twice over each mark. Continue marking each pattern piece until you have all marks outlined. This takes a little time, but it'll be worth it in the long run. Step 3. Mark for folding. In order to join the pages, you'll need to fold excess paper out of the way. Alternately, you can trim the excess paper with scissors. Either way, you'll need to draw lines on your printed sheets to show you where to fold or cut. On sheets which have 3 marks, make a note of how far the line should be by measuring the existing mark from the edge of the paper. Then make a second mark. Line up your ruler over these marks, then draw a dashed line across the paper. This gives you a convenient, exact cut or fold line. In this instance, Cass is folding the paper along the fold line. Step 4. Tape it down. The upper left sheet will be your anchor. Securely tape this sheet to your work surface. Please note you may need a quite large surface on which to work. Most of our patterns are 36 inches wide, and almost all of them are longer than 36 inches. Once you've got the anchor sheet in place, you can start adding the next sheet. Fold the line mark and align it carefully with the corresponding mark in the upper right corner of the anchor sheet. Also, use care to visually align any printed pattern lines on the sheets themselves. Use tape to tack the second sheet in place. Repeat across the top row of sheets. Be sure to double and triple check your alignment. One false move here will cause trouble later. Also note the upper sheets should be the only ones taped to the surface. And when you're ready, start the second row. When you start the second row, you'll need to fold or trim more than one side of the sheets. Again, mark your dashed lines for folding or trimming, then fold or trim. Don't forget, measure twice, cut once. When you've got your sheets prepared, carefully align the new sheet with the marks on previous sheets. Don't forget, use the pattern lines as an assist. When you've got it all lined up, tack the new sheet to the others with tape. Keep a careful, cautious eye on alignment. If the pattern sheets begin to pucker or buckle or twist, something is wrong. Go back and tweak your alignment until the joined papers lie completely flat. No, you may not use your iron. You can also use words and secondary markings as alignment guides when joining sheets. Here, Cass is marking a folding or cutting line. But note how the sheet she's working on and the next sheet in the sequence have words on them. It's important never to rush when you do this. Accuracy is critical. Note here how Cass is overlapping 3 different registration marks. It's important they all line up together. Earlier, I mentioned how you can use words and other marks in the pattern to accurately join up the pattern sheets. On the sheet Cass is working on, you'll see that it's labeled hose leg. And you can also see on the sheet she just taped down that there's a portion of those words printed on that sheet. You can use those words, those printed materials, to line up your new sheet. There are several methods to make your pattern piece. First method involves taping it all together. Once you've got all of your pattern sheets together, it's time to permanently join them. This will involve a lot of tape. Don't be afraid to tape the sheets along each seam, front and back. Add as much tape as you think it'll be necessary to hold the whole thing together while you cut it and use it to cut your fashion fabric. Also, pay special attention to where the printed pattern lines run, as you'll be cutting through them with scissors. Speaking of scissors, now it's time to cut. Once it's solidly taped, cut as usual. Once you've finished cutting, use more tape to ensure there are no corners flapping about. The goal is to make one solid piece of paper. Congratulations! You're done! There's another method we use that we call Nature's Lightbox, and that's a large window. Follow the same procedures as you did on the table. If you're careful, you can skip the folding and trimming. Just use the traced over marks to align the sheets. That's what Cass is doing here. The sunlight shining through the paper will help you see where the marks line up. Again, work from left to right, top to bottom, carefully aligning each sheet before tacking with tape. Once you've got it all tacked together, it's only a matter of securing all the paper seams with tape, like we showed you earlier on the table. Don't forget, use all of the marks available to you to line it up. The registration marks in the corners and the pattern marks. Alternately, you can continue to use the sun to trace over your joined sheets with another wide sheet of plain paper. It helps to have some pieces of tape pre-cut, unless you're blessed with 4 or 5 hands. Once the large sheet is hung, you simply use your fine tip marker to trace over the pattern lines. You can trace all lines or just the line for your size. No matter which you choose, be sure to mark the lines so you know what size or sizes you've traced. Here, Cass is tracing the larger sizes. It's very, very important to mark the lines you've traced. Here, Cass is simply marking over the sizes she's traced. You'll also want to remind yourself what your traced pattern is for. So ensure you copy all information onto the new pattern sheet, including the number of the pattern that you're working from. That's how easy it is. Congratulations!